What's healthcare really like in Portugal? If you're considering a move to this beautiful country, then maybe you've heard that the healthcare is good or that it is lower cost than the US. But what does that mean? How much does it really cost? What's it actually like to use the healthcare system here in Portugal? Is it really better than the US? And most importantly, is it right for you?
So we're going to talk a little bit about our experience of using the healthcare system. Now, we're generally healthy. We don't have any chronic conditions, and we haven't had any urgent medical needs or emergencies. However, we have had several appointments for preventative things, routine things, even a couple of, well, we're not quite sure what it is, we probably ought to get it checked out situations. And so we'll go into detail about what all of those things can cost and what that experience is like.
So today we're going to give you an honest review of our experience of healthcare in Portugal. If you've been watching the channel a while, you know that we've touched on this in other videos, but we've never really done a deep dive specifically about what it's actually like to use the healthcare system. So that's what we're going to do in this video to, again, help you decide if this is the right move for you.
And if you've been thinking about moving to Portugal, you'll want to consider our Moving to Portugal online course, which gets into all the details around visas and housing and moving costs and all the other things like that. We'll leave a link in the description below.
So if you're new to the channel, let's just cover some costs. We've talked about this before, but if you haven't seen our previous videos, here's just a quick rundown of the medical costs that we pay. So we each pay 200 euros per month for private medical insurance, and that includes dental.
And we also pay 275 euros per person per year in order to have a medical concierge here that works with expats to help them navigate the Portuguese healthcare system, whether it's the public system or private system, to try to find doctors, set appointments, all the other things that are required.
Yeah, I feel like we talk about them a lot, but for good reason. They are just absolutely awesome. As residents, we are also automatically qualified for and enrolled in the public health system. Now, the public health system does provide free care for almost everything, but we did opt to keep private healthcare insurance in addition to the public coverage. Under our private insurance, we pay 19 euros for every doctor visit, and the highest copay we've had for any procedure was 119 euros. Matt has a prescription and he pays $4 for a 60-day supply.
Like we said earlier, overall, we're very healthy. We haven't had any emergency situations, and all of our appointments have actually been handled at private care clinics that our insurance company covers. So, we've had, though, several appointments, routine appointments and lab appointments, and a couple of procedures, but a couple of situations where we went to the doctor because there were some things that were going on that we just had questions about, and we went to the doctor just to have it checked out. And overall, we've been very, very happy with it.
Yeah, we really leaned into that preventative care. We were behind after COVID, so we definitely caught up on a lot of stuff. I will say too that in this video we're sharing our experience, but I have heard from many of you in the comments. People have reached out to me on DMs and have shared that your experience is very different than our experience, and I think that's important to note. So if you have an experience with the Portuguese health system, good or bad, we'd love to hear more about that from the comments. In the comments, I think that everyone benefits when there's a good cross-section of experiences that people have shared.
Well, we get this question a lot. We get the question from, expats. We get the question on YouTube. We get the question on Instagram. We get the question because it's a meaningful question. There are, in fact, lots of people who, once they move to Portugal, they let their private health insurance drop and they just rely on the public health system.
That works great for them. They're really happy with that. For us, we just have a greater peace of mind having the additional private healthcare coverage.
And it's not really just about emergencies. It's about convenience and consistency. With our private health insurance and going to the clinics that we go to, we feel like there's shorter wait times, that it's easier to get appointments. And we also feel like we have the ability to build a relationship with our primary medical doctor.
And we've been just really happy with the quality of care. The clinics that we go to are very clean and modern and professional. Appointments are easy. We're never chasing down paperwork or wondering if we're going to get a surprise bill later.
It's also peace of mind. I mean, we're in a new country, there's a new language, we're building a new life, and knowing that when we need to or want to, we're able to get in to see a doctor relatively quickly, it just makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not for everybody. People make their own decisions about whether or not they continue to have private health care. But for us, it's 100% worth it if, heaven forbid, we ever had a catastrophic health event. We just really want the confidence of knowing that we're going to receive that same high standard of care that we've had so far with the insurance and the doctors that we have today. Now, most of our care is through CUF, or CUF as it's referred to, which is a brand of hospitals and clinics here in Portugal. Not the only one that we have access to with our insurance, which is Medish, just the one that we prefer. And so it's really easy to use. I mean, we have a clinic that's about 30 minutes away in Leyden, and we're able to walk in, use a kiosk to check in. You take a number, you wait for your number to be called. It's all very easy. The staff is really professional. Most of the people at the front desk do not speak English, but in our experience, there's always at least one person there who will speak English, and they're just very kind. Like, the dignity of care here in Portugal that we've experienced has really been top-notch.
Now, we've said this before, but we have never had smoother medical experiences than we've had here in Portugal. I mean, the wait time at the clinics is not all that long. Mm-hmm. You're not waiting for an hour or anything like that. You're not wondering if your plan covers the basics. And as Dawn mentioned, she said there's really a dignity of care. You really feel taken care of.
Yeah, that's true. So there are public and private hospitals nearby, so there's always something close by in the case that we need emergency care. Now, we haven't, knock on wood, we haven't needed emergency care, but we do hear from expats who've been through the process that not all hospitals are the same, and it's good to know which one to go to if you do need emergency care.
So we recommend that you join local Facebook groups and look for firsthand accounts of experiences in emergency care in your area.
Yeah, everybody says to us, but we don't use Facebook anymore. I know, I don't use it either, but when it comes to planning a move to Portugal, Facebook really is the best way to hear stories of what other people are experiencing, as well as tips. And if you have an experience using emergency care here in Portugal, especially here on the Silver Coast, we'd love to hear from you in the comments.
Well, look, not all doctors in Portugal speak English, and that's okay. I mean, we are in their country, right. But healthcare is one of the areas of life where communication really matters.
And that's why having a medical concierge has been so valuable, because they help us find those highly rated English-speaking doctors. However, it should be said that just because a doctor speaks English doesn't mean that they're going to be absolutely fluent. And so there is going to be some patience that's required. Again, like Matt said, we're in their country. It's not their job to be fluent in English. It's our job to learn Portuguese. However, as we learn, there's a whole lot that can get lost in translation. I will just say that our doctor is excellent, and she's so thoughtful, and she takes her time with us and makes sure that we absolutely understand everything. So again, just having a lot of patience during this process is going to be really key. So when it comes to quality of care, Portugal is actually ranked 11th in the world for quality of care. Now, for context, the US is ranked number 14. Now, one of the biggest differences that I've noticed between care in Portugal and in the US is that you don't have to fight to be taken seriously.
Well, so each of us have had one of those moments where it was like, we probably ought to get things checked out. And in both of those situations, when we went into the doctor, we both have the same primary care physician. We went into the doctor. She was thorough, and she recommended some additional tests just to rule things out. And in my situation, one of her tests that she had was, we should get a chest x-ray and take a look at that. Well, I could walk down the hall in this clinic, get the chest x-ray, and then walk back to the doctor a few minutes later, and she had the chest x-ray results right here, right on her computer, and she could review them. And so the whole thing was just so quick and so convenient and so easy.
Yeah, compare that to the US, at least our experience in the US. We maybe would have had to really advocate for ourselves to get a test. Maybe the test would have been scheduled several weeks later. We would have had to wait for the results. It's just so much more efficient here. And again, I mean, it just keeps coming back to the same idea of peace of mind. We just have so much more of a peace of mind around our healthcare here. We'll give you another example, and this is just such a clear example between the difference of Portugal and the US. Several years ago in the US, I had a preventative procedure. It was a colonoscopy and endoscopy. This was a referral from my doctor, did all of the things where you don't eat for like 48 hours or whatever. And then just minutes before actually going in for the procedure, the specialist, you know, the person who worked there sat me down and explained that only one of them was covered by insurance and the other one was going to have a cost of, I can't remember if it was $7,000 or $17,000. I know I've talked about this
Thousands and
before.
thousands.
It was thousands and thousands of dollars, and essentially you need to write us a check right now. And so compare that 2 years later. Matt recently had a colonoscopy and endoscopy, and the total cost for the entire thing was under 500 euros. And Matt's part of that with our private insurance was something like 119 euros. And so it's just night and day the difference between the US and Portugal.
Now look, don't get us wrong. The US has some amazing doctors and amazing nurses, and medical innovation is off the charts in the US. However, the system that everybody has to work within, it is complicated and it is expensive in the US.
Yeah, I'm sure that doctors and nurses feel really frustrated by it as well. But here's the really wild part for us is that even with a language barrier, we still find the Portuguese healthcare system to be so much easier to navigate than in the US, where we are native speakers.
Well, so let's look at it in two ways: urgent care and preventative care.
Again, we've never used the urgent care, so if you have experience, please tell us in the comments. But our experience of the healthcare system for preventative care has been excellent. We feel like we've been able to get the care that we needed without surprises or stress.
And look, we know that if anything serious happened because of the Portuguese healthcare system, we're not going to be financially bankrupt. We're not going to get a huge bill that we can't cover. This is a level of security that we actually never felt in the US.
So again, we'd just love to hear your feedback. Again, whether it's about healthcare in the US or healthcare in Portugal, tell us in the comments below. If you are planning a move to Portugal, there are a lot of things to consider. Healthcare is just one of them. We do just want to tell you that our Moving to Portugal online course is available if you need it, if it's helpful. It'll walk you through the entire process: visas, scouting trips, moving costs, renting and buying, all of that stuff in one clear, organized package. And again, we're going to leave a link in the description below if you want to check that out.
And if you want to know what life on the Silver Coast really costs, watch this video here where we talk about our actual expenses and we break that down for you.